Good afternoon, YouTubers, Facebook friends, and everyone who's into movies, films, horror stuff, and all the bloody guts and gore. Right, this is a reply video to a guy on YouTube called 8 The Chosen One. He's into music, rap. He makes his own albums. He's quite a talented man. He loves horror films like I do myself. And he's just done his top 10 splatter films off his head. Now, before he starts out now, only months ago, I've had to write them down because I'm 50-year-old and I forget the odd ones. So, because I've been into this for years and my brain doesn't work as quick as everyone else's. So, in no particular order, my 10 splatter movies are first, Peter Jackson's Bad Taste. Fantastic film, funny as hell. I first seen it when it was originally banned in the 80s in England. It's going to be banned at all the festivals. I've seen it at a Shock Around the Clock festival in London. Seen it on a bootleg and everything. It's about a group of people who have to stop an alien invasion. Now, if you've never seen Bad Taste, remember all these films are very gory, very violent. A lot of them comic book fun, but some of them are a bit like you want to throw up. Bad Taste is one of them. In one of the scenes, the aliens all get together in this house and they all vomit into a bucket, a big bowl, and then they all drink it. It's a bit yucky, but it's funny the way they do it. It's all green guns. It's all pea soup at the end of the day, but your brain works differently. Right, secondly, no particular order, I've done them as a double. Phantasm 1 and 2. About the flying ball with the stings that come out, the spheres they're called. Now for splatter films, it's a good one. It's the good films about the tall man who has like a load of blokes with dark hoodies, little dwarfs running around kidnapping people and killing them and taking them to another planet. But these spheres come spinning round and they catch you right in the head there, and then they drill into your head and all the guts and gore comes out of the head. Fantastic splatter films, good fun. The first two are brilliant. Anyway, the next one, these in no particular order, it's just that I like them. The next one is a film called Street Trash. It's set in New York, Hell's Kitchen, the Bronx. It's about a group of down and out dossers, drunkies, alcoholics, everything. And this man owns this liquor store and he sells them all this booze dead cheap to rot their insides. They're all going to die. They're horrible. But when he goes down the cellar, he finds this crate of this liquid, and he doesn't know what it is. And one bloke comes in. He says, "I'll buy one off you." In the beginning, costs him $1. He goes back to this local toilet area, sits down on this toilet, and drinks this stuff, and he basically melts, and everything inside's a lot all come out, and it's pretty yucky. But don't forget, these are all just special effects, maple syrup, everything, but it's fun. Street Trash is a very splattery, gory film. Right? Next one up, one of the masters from Italy, Dario Argento, Tenebrae. Tenebrae is about an author who's wrote this book called Tenebrae. And this killer with a glove, you don't see the killer, he's going round reenacting the killings in the book. It's quite gory. Somebody gets an axe in the head, another guy gets stabbed, somebody falls against the door and this big thing spikes them all and there's blood everywhere. And in one scene there's a lady in this raining outside, sat at this kitchen table with her hand on a gun, and suddenly someone gets this axe and it hits her on the head and this blood goes everywhere and it splatters all over the place. Good movie. The next one, it's not very gory till near the end, and it then gets really gory. It's not really a splatter film as such, but it's a good splattering at the end, and it's Brian De Palma's The Fury, starring Nick Cassavetes, Kirk Douglas, Amy Irving, I think she's called, and a couple of other people. It's about people who can, a bit like scanners, they can read your brain and you read your thoughts and everything. And there's a bit at the end where this girl starts thinking these thoughts with this guy in this room, and the guy suddenly starts spinning around like a whirlpool. But as he's spinning, all his insides are being splattered everywhere, and it's amazing. just an amazing bit of special effects, and basically the whole body goes all over the place, and it's pretty gory. The next one is a Lucio Fulci movie known as The Gates of Hell in America, but in Britain it was called City of the Living Dead, which is a better title in my opinion. And another one that's not for the faint-hearted. There's a scene where this girl and this bloke are having a romantic get-together in the car, and she suddenly starts feeling not well. She wants to be sick, but as she gets sick, she basically, whole insides come out. It's quite, yeah, it's very gory, very splashy, very horrible, but it's good fun if you like that sort of thing. Next one up is another Peter Jackson film. In England, it was known as Brain Dead. In America, it's known as Dead or Alive. 8 The Chosen One's already mentioned this one. And it's basically about a young boy called Lionel, or a young lad, who falls in love with a local florist in this little town in New Zealand. But his nana, grandmother, whoever it is, she's basically, she controls everything he does, and she doesn't like it. But one day, he takes her to the zoo, and she gets bit by this monkey. And she then turns into one of the dead. But each person that she kills along the way, they're all in the cellar in this house, and it just suddenly erupts, and it's very, very, very violent, very gory, very splattery, but it's all done tongue-in-cheek. That's another good one. The other one is double bill again, Danny Boyle. He did his version of a zombie film. Even though they're not technically not zombies, they've been infected, but they're not actually dead. They've just been overtook by this gene, this virus inside them that sends them doolally. It was called 28 Days and 28 Days Later. 28 Days was the first film done on handheld camcorders, and how he managed to get the whole of London shut down. He did it in the early hours of the morning in the summer, just before it was, as the light was coming in, he had great sunlight for everything. And that's how he got the streets of London so deserted. But believe me, I watched 28 Days Later on my own with the lights off and the curtains, and I crapped myself. It was amazing. Very violent, very gory, very splattery. Just think of Dawn of the Dead meets the remake of Dawn of the Dead, but in London, and it's fast, it's furious, and it's the whole of England has been wiped out of a zombie apocalypse, basically. Very good. And the remake, or the 28 Days Later one, is set a few years later when they've controlled it, and Jeremy Renner's in the second one. Right, the next one up, Brian Yuzna from the mid-80s. I went to see this at the cinema. Herbert West is the character, obviously, and we are talking about Reanimator, the first one, which is the best one. He's basically a modern-day Frankenstein, and he says he can bring people back to life with a green serum. Obviously, things don't go according to plan, and there's a massive scene in a morgue near the end, and all the corpses that are in these catacomb things waiting to be autopsied wake up and start running muck everywhere, and there's blood, there's guts, there's everything. And it's also a bit rude in parts, but it's a great film. You'd love that one. Right, secondly is another Brian Yuzna film from the late 80s. Now, I've seen this at a Black Sunday Film Festival, and for the first hour, I thought I was watching Beverly Hills 910, whatever they call it. It was called Brian Yuzna's Society. It's about how people fit in, how posh people live and how poor people live. And this poor lad's been adopted by this family, and he never fits in. He doesn't feel like he's into all this. And he finds out that at an initiation near the end, one of the initiations, that they are not what they seem. And to say the last 30 minutes would be enough to turn you off your dinner is an understatement. It's not bloody gory, but it's slimy, it's yucky, it's splattery. There's, put it this way, one person basically gets turned inside out completely, and it's got to be seen to be believed, and I'll leave it at that. Society is a good film. You won't expect it to be good, but it's a great film. And another one he did as a second, I'll just do the odd one, is it's number 11, I suppose, From Beyond, which is another bit like Reanimator, a bit like Society. Put it this way, it's very gory, it's very splattery, it's very perverse, and it's worth checking out. So they're my top 10/11 slasher films, splatter films, not slasher. So I hope you like them. Comment if you've seen any of them. Share the video on Facebook and YouTube for me if you don't mind. And enjoy them, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.